Hey crafty people! Welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Oh, welcome to my channel. And so today's supposed to be What's on My Desk Wednesday, where we craft with stuff left out on my desk during the course of the month. But what I really want to do is work on my stamp storage and organization today. So that's what I've got out on my desk because I have been going through and culling my stamp collection this month. And so let me insert now. I've got a video clip of what my stamp storage looked like before I started going through and reorganizing. Okay, so here is most of my stamp storage, and don't judge the mess. I'm in the midst of transitioning and moving around and organizing stuff, but I wanted to get in like a before shot, and actually I've already pulled some cases out because I'm also going to be doing a destash on my stamps, but I wanted to give you an idea of what it looked like before the destashing and reorganizing. So that was what the bulk of my stamp collection looked like, although there is an exception for my Tim Holtz stamps, which I will show you eventually. And so I had been using, and let me start working on this, what I need to work on while I'm talking instead of just sitting here and talking. So I had used a combination of CD and DVD cases for organizing my stamps, and I've shifted to just the DVD size. And that's partly because the CD size cases were ones I was using for my holiday stamps and my seasonal stamps and not my everyday stamps. And I have shifted also to storing my stamps and dies with the coordinating dies together, whereas I used to store them, crazily enough, the way I had them stored was so that my stamps are stored by theme, and I was storing my dies by set. And so every time I'd use a stamp that had a coordinating die, I had to go hunting for the dies because they were stored separate. So I've switched to the DVD cases where you can store the stamp on one side and have a magnet for storing the coordinated dies on the other side. So because of that switch and that they're DVD size, I was moving all of my, or most of my holiday stamps, because a lot of my Christmas stamps are ones I have coordinating dies for, into DVD size cases. I decided I just wanted everything to be the same size, so I switched everything over to DVD size cases. And then because of that, I have to redo and reorganize all of my stamps, and I culled some. So I pulled some out that are not coming back into my craft closet. So I've been working on that as well to try and cut down on the stamps that I'm just not using, because I have been collecting stamps since 2007. So yeah, almost 20 years now. I've been collecting stamps for almost 20 years. So as you can imagine, I have a very large collection of stamps, some of which are ones I just am not using anymore. My style's changed. For whatever reason, I'm just not using them. So I've pulled out, and I will insert at some point an image of the box of stamps that I'm getting rid of. I also put some that I wasn't quite sure about whether I wanted to get rid of or not into another container, so that come the end of the year, I'm gonna decide if they need to stay or go, kind of thing. So it gives me just a little bit more time to make a decision. In fact, for the stamped flowers without using flower stamps video that I did pull some of the stamps out of that box and use them. So some of them may make it into the stamp collection in my stamp closet, we shall see. And what I'm doing right now is I index all of my stamps. Since I have mine organized by theme, I take them out of their original packaging, I divide them up. So like this case has all of my Hanukkah stamps, which I just have the one case of because I don't make that many Hanukkah cards, but I do have a few people in my life who I make Hanukkah cards for. So I do have some Hanukkah themed stamps. So what I'm doing right now is I am just creating an index, and because I mix up stamp sets and stamp manufacturers and I want to be able to know where the stamp came from, what I do is I create an index sheet that's going to stay with the stamp case that color codes the stamps. And so far I've just been stamping stamps made by Lawn Fawn, but there are a couple in here that are not. So once I get to them, I will change the color of the ink. Yeah, this one I should have returned when I first bought it many years ago because it was clearly damaged. Like there's just a spot where it just does not stamp well no matter what I do. But that's okay. I just go in with the pen and fill in the lines. So I will change the color, and then on the back of this sheet of paper, I will write the index for these stamps. And then I will also do it in a binder. Now, when I first did it, I went through and stamped everything twice. Once on the page that went with the stamp set and once in the binder. I think this time around, because I have a printer that also scans, that I am going to just scan the printed page, the stamped pages, and print them out to create my binder. And I will show you what my binder looks like here in a second. Once I finish stamping this group here. So this is the last of the Lawn Fawn stamps. And then we'll switch colors so you can see like basically what I do. And more recently, I've also been writing down what the stamp set name is. Like when I first did this was well before I had a YouTube channel. And so I would just basically write the manufacturer and not worry about what stamp set it was. Now that I have a channel, I like to be able to tell people what the stamp set is. So I do write down the name of the stamp set now. And sometimes I'll go back and take a look to see if I can find the name if I haven't already written it down. All right. So these two guys are, and of course I like space this out so that it's not gonna work great. I always do this. All right. This stamp is by Outliners. And I'm gonna grab, I think I have a little repositionable adhesive. Actually, no, I don't think I do. We're gonna use this. Go like that. And so this is a different stamp manufacturer. I am gonna grab a color. Let's just go with green. Stamped that there. And then I've got these two guys, which we are gonna end up overlapping a little. Let's do that one and then the circle. And these are by Studio G, which is like the dollar stamps you used to get at Michael's that I don't know that they do anymore. I'll stamp these in blue because that was like, when I first started doing this, I had a lot where I stamped them in a certain color, and Studio G was always stamped in blue when I first did this, so we'll go with the nostalgia of that. And then that. So I've now got an index for this case. Then I will flip this over and I will write in black pen lawn fawn. I'm gonna leave a little space because I can probably look up what stamp set those go to. Then I'm gonna grab a green pen and a blue pen and I'm gonna write outliners. Not that you can really read that very well. Let's write it over here maybe. Outliners. So I know the green stamped ones are by outliners, and then Studio G. I'm not too concerned about how pretty it is because it's really just for me. And then I slip this in so that the images are facing out so that I can see, like I can pull the case out and look at it and know what's in there. And I am gonna put a little tape at the bottom because I've noticed these kind of slip and slide a little bit and try and come out the bottom because the bottom's open as well on this set of cases that I got. And I will try and remember to leave the information on where I got these in case you are looking for stamp storage. So that's how I store them in the cases. I've also got cases where I don't have coordinating dies. So I've got some older cases, and I think these might be slightly too big to go into here. They're a hair too tall for, a hair too tall and too wide. Let's see. Width-wise, they're okay. Height-wise, I need to take maybe a 1/4 inch off, but let's go ahead and do this one. I'll show you just one more on how I do this, although I'll speed it up since pretty much I'm just going to be stamping everything. And then I'll give you a look at what my index that I'm going to put these guys into looks like. I paused, I think to clean off a stamp and put it back, and forgot to unpause before I started thinking I was recording again. So I finished the label on this and I put down the names to coordinate with the colors. So this way I can look and say, okay, that's a green bunny. That's a penny black stamp. So in addition to this being good so that I can identify when I'm using a stamp in a video to whoever's watching who the manufacturer is, some companies like Penny Black do not have angel policies, which means if you're going to try and sell what you're making, you can't use any of their products in what you're trying to sell because they don't allow it. It's a violation of their terms of use. So it's important to know that sort of thing too if you're going to try and sell your stuff. So that's why I like to have it indexed. Now I will also label the sides, and I've got one here. So this is Butterflies 2. So for example, if I'm going to sit down and make something and I'm like, I want a butterfly stamp. Instead of hunting through the stamp cases, I can pull out my everyday binder and I can flip through to the butterfly section, and then I can flip through the pages and go, oh, you know what? I really want that butterfly. All right, it's in Butterflies 3. Or since I have 2 out, I can go, ooh, I want that butterfly. It's in Butterfly Case 2. So I'll go onto my shelf and pull out Butterflies 2. And then I can use it and put it away when I'm done. And it's all nice and organized. And the clip I showed was pre me pulling everything apart. So you could see everything was labeled so that I could easily access the stamps when I want them. What I'm gonna do after I've redone all of the cases is photocopy, although for some of these, if like this one, I think I've pretty much kept everything that was in here. I haven't changed this one at all, I don't think. I'll probably just cut this piece off and glue it onto a new sheet of paper that's gonna go into the new binder when I redo all of this. I'm not pulling this binder apart just yet because for some of the cases when I consolidated, I didn't save the index sheet that went with the cases that I pulled the stamps from, because some got pulled from several cases and got divvied up in different ways kind of thing. Because, for example, I think if I pull out, because that's my everyday stamp binder, this is my holiday binder, and I think if we look in Easter, I consolidated like all the lawn fawns together because they came with coordinating dies. So I pulled some stamps from this case, and I think from this case, because I have the coordinating dies for it, those bunnies all went together. And I think these I might have had a coordinating die. So I put all of the ones with dies in one case. And so since I pulled them from several, I didn't put these guys with them. So this way I know which one is which. I'm keeping this together until I'm done indexing everything again. Then I will pull all of this apart. And yeah, I have a lot of stamps. I've been collecting stamps since 2007. And if I'm repeating myself, I'll either edit this out or apologies, because I don't remember whether I said it in the bit that got cut, that I didn't record and thought I recorded, or if I said it in the bit that got recorded. So yeah, almost 20 years of stamp collecting. I've got, this is my holidays, which I have a bit of a problem with Christmas stamps, I'll admit it. Because this entire section, like half this binder, is just Christmas stamps. So yeah, I'm doing my best to try and cut out a lot of the stamps that I don't use, because I have a lot of stamps. I've also got a couple other organizational systems in place for my stamps. One of which is for my unmounted, like red rubber stamps. I picked up these binders off of Amazon, and they've got little zipper pouches, because these don't work in the cases because there's nothing sticky on the back of them. And I'll be using actually these stamps in the next video I have coming up, where we do my Christmas card for April. And I use this photopolymer like block for sticking them to the door of the Misty, and then because both sides are sticky, the stamps stick to that, and that's how I stamp with them. But that's what I have done. I used to put them on Easy Mount, which is something I mentioned in my first video this month, where I did stamping and ink selection 101. I talked about how I unmounted all my wood mounted stamps. Now you saw for a couple of the ones in the Hanukkah, I still have it on like some mounting foam and have to stick it on something sticky to stamp with. As I was reorganizing, because of how many of these binders, because of how they were packaged, I had to buy, I decided to actually shift more of the wood mounted ones and just pull the foam off and stick them in these kind of binders. So I've got these binders as well. I'm probably gonna, I've labeled them by, like, these are all Purple Onion and they're the Christmas stamps. Several of them are labeled by like the manufacturer, since most of the ones in these are my red rubbers that came unmounted and were never mounted. So I have them organized by where I got them from. I'll probably number these and index these as well, at least for purposes of going into the binder. And then I can just have them labeled as, you know, binder 1, binder 2, binder 3, so I know where to go looking for those stamps, so that I can have them on my index and be able to find them easily when I'm like, when I have a theme in mind and I'm looking for stamps. The other thing I've got going for my stamps is these clear acrylic bins, and these are my Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous, and there are a couple other random ones back here, mostly because like this lovely Simon Says stamp that I really do like does not fit in a DVD case. It's too big to go in. It's staying in its original packaging in here. And then the rest of these are my Simon Says stamp, or not my Simon Says stamp, my Stampers Anonymous Tim Holtz. And I've labeled them by like what topics in this container, because I've got 4 of these containers. So it's got my Bits and Bobs stamps, which are things like the Stamp Collector or Eccentric, where I pull out to stamp like a number, field notes, or label, tidbits, curator, those type of stamps. And then florals like Forgotten Garden, Flower Garden, so the stamps that stamp flowers, imagine that for florals. I also have one bin has got backgrounds and crazy things, which are, you know, the cats and the dogs and the birds and the accessories that they have that go with them. Then I've got like Christmas. I've got one that's got Easter and fall, and then my other image stamps that aren't really florals, don't fit into bits and bobs. Like that one's got, I have the professor, so that stamp set's in there. So they're all organized. I know generally which stamp set's going to be categorized as which, so I can easily pull this out, flip through, the names are at the top, and pull out the stamp and use it. I think now I'm gonna show you how my stamp storage looks like in my closet right now. Again, I'm not done relabeling, reorganizing, doing all that just yet, but it'll give you an idea of what it's gonna look like when that's done. Okay, so this is where I'm storing my card making stamps. And this piece, both of those pieces my dad custom made for me to fit the DVD cases. I have two that are sized for CD cases. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them yet, but I've moved them out of the closet. So as you can see, this section over here is all the ones that need indexing. These are the ones that are indexed. A couple of them need labeling, like they never got labeled, because these are my Impression Obsession cover card stamps, and they're all like 6x6 stamps. I may move them to the container I think I showed you previously that I got at scrapbook.com for holding 6x6 paper pads. I may get another one of those to put those there so that I have more space for cases here. And then I've also got this skinny little bookcase that I got off of Wayfair, where I'm putting the binders and a few extra cases that don't fit over there. So this, I don't know that this is its permanent home. So as you can see, I have some other stuff on here. But I haven't gotten the other pieces that are going in the closet. So there will be a full-on craft closet tour once I'm done, but it's a work in progress. I will be doing a craft closet tour once all of this is done, and I'm getting like a corner piece. So once the corner piece is in, that's going to be going. And so that skinny bookshelf I think might fit over here based on the size of the corner piece that I'm getting. So there will be a craft closet tour. But that is how I'm going to be storing all of my DVD cases for my card making stamps. And now that we're back, I do have other stamps that I keep close at hand, because the stamps that are going in like these cases, a lot of them are the ones that I am going to use for card making. And so usually I have a plan in mind as to what I want to do when I'm card making, and I go and I pull the stamps, and then I sit down and I stamp, and if they have coordinating dies, I die cut it out and do all that sort of stuff. But for like my junk journaling stamping, there are just certain stamps that I'm likely to need in the midst of making something. So part of that's the Tim Holtz stamps that are on a cabinet behind me, which I may put in a shot of what it looks like. And then I've got other ones like that, like my Crafty by Tony stamps that I might pull out to add an element to a piece, or my signatures or dates from the past, so my creative expressions. So I've got the cases of things I'm likely to grab while working on a journal and just pull over and use. So that's what this case is. And some of them still need to be stamped. And this one probably is going to go in the closet because it's florals. So yeah, I'm still sorting through this one to decide which ones are going to stay close at hand. But the idea is to have the ones I'm most likely to grab in the middle of a video project that I'm working on, as opposed to ones I'm likely to use for like a planned out card, because those shall live in my closet. Okay, so here are the stamps I keep at hand right behind me. So this is a desk that I'm not going to show you the top of, that sits behind my craft desk. And these are two cute cabinet units by Best Craft Organizer that I put the shelves in, and there are some drawers at the bottom. So the bottom shelf there has some papers, and then the top shelf and the shelf have my Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous stamps, and then my Crafty by Tony, Creative Expressions, other random stamps that are good for working on junk journal projects. And alright, so this is how I have been organizing my stamps for years. I like this system. It works for me. Some of you might be going, good gracious, that's just way too much and extra. I completely understand that, but this is what works for my brain and how I craft and how I like to have my stuff organized. And hopefully it gave you some ideas. So hopefully you found this useful. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting!